Hi, I'm Mark Carvin, your host of Solutions. We have a number of issues that arising across our landscape, and we can debate and we can list statistics and raise statistics, and of course they are vital. Numbers are vital, but what we really need are solutions, and that's why we're here. I'm your host again, Mark Carvin, and I host Solutions with Mark Carvin, and we're taking on a major issue, and that issue is the elimination of poverty in America. And we are not just going to repeatedly talk about all the problems that are associated with poverty. Of course, we have to, because you can't raise the consciousness of something without talking about it. But our talking about it is to bring forth the solution. And the solution that we have for the elimination of poverty in America is the Census Wealth Empowerment Act. And we have a series that we have developed of lectures to explain the Census Wealth Empowerment Act. I get asked the questions often, well, how is it going to eliminate poverty? What are the steps? Go to our website, Census Wealth Empowerment Act.org, and the details are there. But some people need the visual. Some need to have the explanation. Even after reading the facts, you still need someone to assist you with getting through the fact. So that's what we're here with right now with solutions. We want to present the solution, make it clear enough so that you can understand that uh, the solution is doable. This is not just a pie in the sky talk. This is not just some theory that does not have any potential application. And we want to show you how the measurements that are necessary to get us to that place where we can eliminate poverty in America. Well, let's talk about what is poverty in America and how does that speak? Well, uh, for a family of four, the government has determined that $26,200 is the threshold of poverty for a family of four in America. $26,200. And you can see how that can be quite a struggle in today's economics, in today's economy, to try to make ends meet with just $26,200 for four people. And that is a monumental task that people have to endure with this daily. This is not something that is an abstract. This is reality. This is what people have to deal with on a consistent basis each and every day. Uh, Making a balanced budget, overcoming deficits off a mere $26,200 annually. And so that's what we mean by the elimination of poverty. That's the realness. Now, when you talk about the CWE Act, what does it do? It produces $20,000 for each U.S. citizen over the age of 18, and we're going to get into those details. But think about it: if the poverty level is $26,200 for a family of four, what would it be like for that family to receive $80,000 at the count of the census, each census? And that would be the bridge for them to build generational wealth. So you can see that the CWE Act is a monumental assignment, and we need to get people aware of it. Let's take a break, and we're going to come back and discuss the CWE Act from a lecture perspective.
Take a stand against poverty. We could make the elimination of poverty in the United States a reality with the passage of a new federal bill that would financially empower all citizens. It's called the CWEA, the Census Wealth Empowerment Act. and it will reduce to a minimum current spending on the criminal justice system and anti-poverty programs. Read the CWEA. If it makes sense, sign the petition, share the video, tell your friends and family. Support the movement by sending a copy to your U.S. senators and representatives. Together, we can empower a bright future for all Americans. Visit www.censuswealthempowermentact.org.
Well, let's go into the lectures portions of the CWE Act. Let's do the introduction portion. What is meant by the poverty level in America? There are some statistics that the United States government is using to measure when an individual or a household is living in poverty. For an individual, the threshold is an annual income of $12,060. At that amount or less, one is considered to be at the poverty level, and it goes up exponentially with each addition to the household. A household of two people is $16,240. Four people is $24,600. And even if there's eight people in a household, poverty level is at $41,320. And absolutely, we can understand that those figures, as represented in today's current economic society, that those figures would definitely place an individual at a poverty level. 44 million people are at the poverty level in the United States as of the latest statistics of 2019. And we want to move away from percentages for a moment. 20 million of that 44 million people are white, or nearly 50% of all the people at the poverty level are white, and that's white non-Hispanic. 9.2 million are black people. 12.7 million are Hispanic people. Now, these revelations of numbers, actual people in poverty, removes the myth narrative that black or brown people are the primary people driving the poverty level. And so once we remove that narrative, once we remove that stereotypical appeal, then we can work together to eliminate poverty. And that's the goal. It's not to create something for one particular group. It's the elimination of poverty in America. Poverty is the number one multicultural uh, uh, conglomerate in America. That this conglomerate pulls more people together. This collaborative pulls more people together, and it's one that no people need or deserve, and we can all live without. And it's poverty. There's also at least three more classifications or categories of people that have to deal with a lack of resources or poverty. Uh, the lower class is 25% of the people considered lower class. This is the total population of America. 25% of people are considered in the lower class. 13% are working poor. 13% are working poor. And 12% are considered underclass. And then finally, the middle class for a family starts. This is the start when they consider middle class, 32,000 to 54,000. And then when we step back from those numbers and just think about one in every six children in America lives in poverty. Implementation of the strategy um, for the elimination of poverty in the United States of America can commence. And we are stating in as early as January of 2030. That's with a practical implementation of the strategy contained in this document through the through the passage of a federal bill. Of course, we would like for that to commence much earlier, but the current uh, uh, number of people who are aware of the Census Wellness Wealth Empowerment Act or CWE Act, it's going to take time to build the groundswell. We have to educate the public on this proposed legislation, as well as there may well need to be a change of attitude in the current makeup of Congress, the House of Representatives, and the Senate. Attitude can change swiftly, but if attitude does not change, then those who are currently seated in the halls of Congress may have to change. And so between now and 2030, there are at least four cycles of House of Representatives, one presidential cycle, two presidential cycles, 2024 and 2028, and also every U.S. senator will have at least one election, and some will have two. So when the strategy then is that this can be accomplished by 2030. Such an act would minimize current levels of spending on aid to dependent children. Not that we're talking about cutting back on what the aid to dependent children currently delivers, but if you eliminate poverty, the roles of aid to dependent children will also decrease, and that's the saving that can offset what you are accomplishing through the CWE Act. And the criminal justice system, the poverty is the number one driver of criminal activity. And so when you give people hope, give people resources, the criminal justice system will have a lesser load. The court system will have a lesser load. And also then there's a reduction of spending on anti-poverty programs because there are less people at that poverty level. So the SEWE Act has all the advantages of moving a society ahead and not creating a new entitlement program to keep the people dependent upon the government assistance, but creating an investment program by the government so that there's less dependency upon the government, more taxes, more creation of small businesses and large businesses because people have hope and an opportunity. From the equitable distribution of funds, each U.S. citizen will have an open channel for the creation of opportunities, transformation of ideas into potential, and the transition of dreams into generational wealth creation. This single initiative shall provide citizens from lower income segments of the population with the opportunity to deliver on their creative innovations, leading to unparalleled human talent discovery. Uh, this immense vein of untapped human potential will lead to exceptional individual achievements and unforeseen national accomplishments. The Census Wealth Empowerment Act, or CWE Act, takes an undeniable stand against poverty. The mission of the act is to minimize the number of citizens on the poverty rolls and provide tangible hope and support to every child born in the United States. The narrative changes from the figurative American dream to an America that provides the economic tools to construct a ladder to success. And people want to come out of poverty, but there must be a way to climb out. It's not enough to say pull yourself up by your own bootstraps when the proverbial boots do not exist. America possesses enough wealth to eliminate poverty within its borders. The CEWE Act puts an end to the non-wealth development in a country possessing enough wealth to eliminate poverty within its borders. It's not about borrowing from others. It's not about creating some new unique program. There is enough wealth within our borders to eliminate poverty within our borders. Such opportunity in the 21st century America has were carved by words etched in this 18th century beginning. And so what I'm saying now is a chance to enact what the country says it was founded upon. Every U.S. citizen has the right to freedom from poverty. These principal words ring with a greater truth as the resources now exist to fulfill the reality of that earlier pronouncement, proclaimed in the preamble to the Declaration of Independence that, number one, all men are created equal. Two, all men are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights. Three, among these rights are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. To secure these rights, number four, to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their powers from the consent of the governed. Five, the government gets its power from the citizen it governs. Six, whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish it. Seven, different forms of government are like an experiment. If the form of government is no longer able to protect the rights of its citizens, it needs to be changed or overthrown and replaced. Those words come from the preamble to the Declaration of Independence. The Census Wealth Empowerment Act seeks to eliminate poverty within the borders of the United States. The CEWE Act, calling for economic empowerment of each individual citizen, will ultimately empower the nation. The premium importance on the economic stimulus of individual citizens who comprise the nation means that there are more people then actively involved on paying taxes, actively involved in creating jobs, actively involved in creating wealth. And this gives the entire nation the incentive to move forward and progress and develop. And thus, once the phase has begun and it becomes part of the ingrained in society, the elimination of poverty, it becomes something contagious. Wherever there is poverty, then the people will act to help eliminate the poverty, and you have more people now with the resources to invest in others, so that we can eliminate the terms of giving back. It's investing in. The Census Wealth Empowerment Act places a premium importance on the economic stimulus of individual citizens who comprise the nation. The nation can only be as rich as its poorest citizens, because if you are counting richness in terms of human value, then those who are the wealthiest with material goods need to invest in those who have the least in terms of accumulation. Wealth accumulation accrued by the smallest percentage of the population should not be forever hidden from the masses. Wealth should become the mantle that moves across all diversity of humanity. The entire spectrum of the citizens citizenry should not be denied the enjoyment of peace and comfort as a state of life. The CWEA ensures a quality elevation of life for all U.S. citizens, and that's the goal, to move the entire society and all of its citizens forward, rather than having a caste system where some are looked down upon or judged by their lack of economic resources. The aim of this initiative, the aim of CWEAC, is to sets a course for the redistribution of wealth within U.S. borders and among U.S. citizens without vilifying any one segment of the population. We're not saying let's tear down the wealth of others. No, we're saying let's build up all so that everyone has an opportunity to live a quality life. And while embarking on a new module that will contribute to the continuous growth of the gross domestic product, the GDP, as well as ensure an increasing gross national product, the GNP. By doing so, all citizens shall have the opportunity to break down the barriers that have for so long prohibited economic growth, while denying startup capital required for entrepreneurial ventures. The CWE Act shall institute an aggressive and vigorous federal law to head off the conspiracies and mobilization to defraud and entrap citizens of the funds earmarked for them. This is not a way to feed the underworld or the subculture. This is the CWE Act is aware of this, and that this influx of cash must come with some strenuous protection. The imposition of severe criminal penalties for crimes against the CWE Act shall serve to circumvent the predatory nature of a nefarious population segment who prey upon the most vulnerable. The consequences for such action shall be the administration of swift and severe punitive measures. Clear and stringent penalties are spelled out in the CWE Act. The clear and stringent penalties spelled out in the CWE Act for violations against any U.S. citizen or the household of U.S. citizens shall serve as a deterrent. The most vulnerable members of our society who will receive the funds through the CWE Act should not become the easiest to victimize. The CWE Act should create an avenue for the creation of generational wealth and not a target market for individuals to prey on citizens who have waited a lifetime to move toward a financially sound existence. Both rural locales and city centers need and desire liberation from the destructive cycle of poverty. The bitterness of fear from lacking life essentials, food, shelter, and clothing must and shall be eradicated. The cost of human suffering cannot continue unchecked in a free and open society. A $4 trillion price tag is but a down payment on the peace and tranquility a nation can reflect as an illuminating force to change its course, which can then influence the world. And this initial $4 trillion price tag will be augmented by the fact that once you invest in the people, the taxes and the productivity will generate the revenue to sustain the next generation or the next cycle of people eligible to continue this process. Up to $20,000 for each U.S. citizen over the age of 18 at an average of $400 billion annually pales in comparison to the cost of human dignity, destruction from poverty, and the emotional suffering inflicted upon society at large. Every American citizen born from 2031 forward shall have a $1,000 placed in escrow under the CWE Act. When they reach 18 years of age, a full $2,000 annual benefit shall become accessible at the next national census. Up to $20,000 shall be distributed to each citizen every 10 years in accordance with the national census. with the amount dependent upon the number of years of escrow. The initiative shall go into effect in 2030. A radical change is an absolute necessity. Children who are U.S. citizens have hope for a successful start in life, whether for academic aspiration, vocational interests, professional achievements, or the pursuit of entrepreneurial vision. The CERES Act shall help secure an additional and tangible mechanism for our youth, as well as provide our nation with the next generation of leaders and visionaries. The people of the United States must educate themselves. That's part of our mission to bring forth solutions. And the solution to the elimination of poverty starts with the Census Wealth Empowerment Act. Without hesitance or exception, the people of the United States must educate themselves to all that is contained within the CERES Act. Then, with all the energy and knowledge they have, they must pursue the immediate enhancement of a federal bill by the U.S. Congress to secure the future of America. This security will not come by bombs, missiles, or foot soldiers, but by the redistribution of wealth as a global model. We, the people, citizens of the United States of America, cannot sit idly by and watch the erosion of the economic gains of the greatest economy the modern world has ever known without all of its citizens having the opportunity to share in the wealth and prosperity so displayed. Once again, this is the beginning of a series on that will enlighten the general populace to the value and the nuts and bolts of the Census Wellness Empowerment Act. Once again, we must present solutions that are doable, that can be made applicable to our current situation so that we are not uh, constantly for years and years to come at the same point. Yes, we have to put in the work consistently over a period of time to bring about the proper achievements, but we must be espousing on the solution while we are also speaking about the problem. And so, solutions with Mark Carbonell's, our desire and our design is to bring forth solutions. And we're not going to quit. We're going to educate. We're going to make sure that people have the necessary facts. And we're going to keep the work up until we reach the point where everyone has full recognizable working knowledge of the Census Wealth Empowerment Act. Once again, I'm Mark Carbonell, the your host for Solutions with Mark Carbonell.